Dear students, welcome to my channel Chemistry with Saleh Hassan. Uh, let's talk about insoluble salts today. Insoluble salts are those chemical substances that are not soluble in water, and whenever they are added to water, they settle down to the bottom of the water, right, or apparatus. So these type of salts are prepared by a method known as precipitation method. A precipitation method is a type of method in which we in which a precipitate is formed whenever two solutions are mixed. Those solutions are usually salt solutions, with the exception of acids. For example, sulfuric acid is also a solution. Okay. Before starting with an example, how to prepare insoluble salts, first we need to know some important examples because in the examination they can give you any example, right? But if your knowledge is limited, then you will not be able to decide whether we have to follow which method. Either you can confuse yourself. Either we have to go for soluble salts or insoluble salts. That's why the table of solubility is very important. No need to have rote learning for this. Just go on passing, go on revising this, prepare, at some occasions, salts, insoluble salts, sometimes soluble salts. So let's talk about insoluble salts now. These are a few examples of insoluble salts. And most of the sulfates are soluble, but the insoluble salts are calcium, barium, lead, and strontium sulfate. These are all white solids. These are insoluble salts. With the exception of these salts, all other sulfates are usually soluble in water. So most of the carbonates are insoluble, with the exception of group 1 carbonates, like say, potassium, sodium, and ammonium carbonate. Also, those are soluble, but in addition to those, all other carbonates are insoluble. Okay. Similarly, if we are talking about carbon chlorides or iodides or bromides, silver chloride, AgCl, cold, not hot. PbCl2 is insoluble. HgCl2 in cold is also insoluble. AgI, which is a yellow, uh, AgBr, which is creamy white, PbI2, which is yellow salt. These are all insoluble salts. The color of PbCl2 and HgCl2, they are white crystalline substances. AgCl is makes white precipitate during preparation. Okay, now let's talk about one example and what things are asked in the examination and what should we do in that. Let's say we are given with lead to iodide. This is insoluble salt, as we have already told you in the table. Lead has two oxidation state, +2 and +4. Here we are using +2. That is why we have to highlight it, because in the examination it has been asked what this number indicates. This number indicates oxidation state of lead. Okay, to prepare PbI2, uh, first we need to know. At this point, thinking is very important. Be technical. PbI2 contains two elements. Pb means lead and iodide. Now, Pb will be coming from one salt and I will be coming from another salt. And at the same time, you must keep in mind we have to take two salts which are soluble. So when you know the table of solubility, then it will be very easy for you. So when you know that all nitrates are soluble, I will take nitrate of lead, that is PbNO3 whole twice. Similarly, for iodide, I will go to group 1 because I know that sodium chloride is soluble salt, very easy example. And at the same time, if you have studied the properties of group 1, uh, group 1 of the periodic table, then over there, your teacher might have, discussed with you that their salts are most all soluble in water. Okay. So we have taken potassium iodide. When these two react together, they make potassium nitrate, which is soluble salt. AQ shows it is soluble. And a yellow precipitate is formed, which is PbI2. This is lead to iodide. This is what we are preparing basically. So now how we can separate PbI2 from potassium nitrate? For that, we have very important steps. These steps are common for all the insoluble salts. But what we need to know, generally we will say mix two soluble salt solutions. But as we have taken a specific example, PbI2, that is why we will say we will mix lead to nitrate and potassium iodide solutions. When they are mixed together in a container, what will be produced? You will see a clear dark yellow precipitate. That yellow precipitate is basically lead to iodide. You must keep in mind all the salts are usually ionic compounds. This is very important to know. Because if you know that this is ionic, compound, then you will be able to decide its property, like physical properties. Is okay when the precipitate is formed. After that, we have to filter it. The second point, filter the precipitate by using filter paper. When we will be using filter paper, the precipitate, which is PbI2, it will stay on the filter paper. I will draw a diagram here for you. Wash the precipitate with distilled water. Why we are washing the precipitate? It may contain some impurities. In order to, this is exam question, right? Why precipitate is washed with distilled water? Distilled water is pure water. It has nothing except H2O. So it will remove the impurities. And on the filter paper, what will be left? Yellow solid, that is PbI2. What we will do after that, we will dry the precipitate. We will let it to dry. We can put it oven, not so hot, high temperature. Just a simple warm oven, or you can put in the sun. The salt crystals will be formed. Collect the precipitate. That precipitate is insoluble salt, that is PbI2. Okay. Uh, just I'm telling you the apparatus we are using. Wise, we will take a beaker, the lab. This is a beaker. We can put it on the tripod stand, otherwise on the table, because we are not going to heat it. We will put a safety device here. You might have seen in the laboratory. It is funnel. This funnel has a filter paper in it. Let's say this is a filter paper. This one. This white is a filter paper. You might have seen the filter paper. Now we will invert the beaker containing the precipitate of PbI2 here. That that mixture contains potassium nitrate, which is soluble. It will reach here, while the yellow precipitate will stay on the filter paper. Yellow precipitate will stay on the filter paper like this. So this is precipitate which we were talking about. Wash the precipitate. This lot. To wash it, we have an apparatus in the laboratory like this. This is just a plastic bottle with some sharp nozzle. That is, put that is water in it. You put water in it. Just have a spray on it. That will cause the impurities to be removed. Hope you understand, boys. Similarly, not only this salt, if other salts are given to you, if you know this, if you know the important things which are kept in mind, how to prepare insoluble salts. Again, I'm just giving you a summary. So to prepare insoluble salts, we have to take solutions, and the method usually asked which method will be used. You will say precipitation. They will ask you for equation. In the equation, correct formulas, correct symbols, and balancing. This is very important. Then, steps may carry 2 to 3 marks. The steps, are very easy. Same step will be, written for every insoluble salt except the names of the salt solution which we are taking and the precipitate color. Hope you understand. And let's have few, other examples. What these are? Hope should remove this diagram. This- Okay, now this is good job for you people have done. Like say we have AGCL. You are given with AGCL. They will examiner will ask you. You can ask you, right. One reagent to prepare AGCL is silver nitrate. You name the other reagent. You will say sodium chloride because Ag can come from nitrate, and for Cl we can take group one salt. You know these are very easy things. All nitrates are soluble. First go for nitrate. Just take this metal from the salt and put nitrate with it. Now, if these are halides, sulfates, carbonates, take group one, carbonates, group one sulfates, group one, iodides, chlorides, whatever. All are soluble. This is very easy to keep in mind how to prepare insoluble. Okay. Similarly, we have AgBr. This is creamy white, basically. Ag will come from, again, silver nitrate. Br will come from sodium bromide. Just we are replacing halogens. That's it. All these examples are available for you. Hope you will be able to do these examples yourself. This is a great help for you people. These have been taken from past papers. All the things I explain over here are explained by keeping in mind how the examiner has given these questions in the examination. Boys, Alhamdulillah, I have practiced, more than 35 years of papers of CAIE, Alhamdulillah, and more than 20 years of papers of IGCSE. I have also practiced papers of AQA. Alhamdulillah, I have many students which have gone to abroad, higher universities. So hope you will, follow my lessons, and inshallah you will be less dependent upon others. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.